morning, students. Today we will begin with a lesson in English prose. The name of the lesson is Weeds in the Garden. Now, children, this lesson gives us a wonderful message of stopping our bad habits right at the start. Otherwise, they may take such deep roots that it will be difficult for us to come out of such bad habits and may even ruin our life. So let's read the story. The name of the story is Weeds in the Garden. Most of the parents like to fulfill the wishes of their children. Now, you all might be knowing that your parents always like to fulfill your wishes. Whatever they ask, whatever you ask them, they always give you. They feel sorry when they cannot indulge their kids or when they have to scold them. Now, suppose you must have done something and they get angry on you or they have to scold you. They feel sorry for that also. Okay? And when even a scolding has no effect, the parents become very, very unhappy. Now, after scolding or shouting at you also, it does not have any effect on you. That means you do not listen. Then what happens? The parents become very unhappy. They feel sad. Such was the case with Anshuman and his parents. So there was a boy called Anshuman. He used to not listen to his parents. So his parents were very unhappy. Okay, let's see further. Anshuman's parents had noticed that he was developing some bad habits. Now, why was Anshuman's parents unhappy? They were unhappy because they had come to know that Anshuman was developing some bad habits which were not good for him. Naturally, they began to warn him time and again. But all in vain. All in vain means without any success. They were warning him continuously. But Anshuman was not listening to him. Anshuman just wouldn't listen. He refused to believe that it was letting those bad habits get a hold over him. So what was happening? Anshuman was not listening to his parents. But Anshuman was not knowing that he was developing bad habits which was not good for his life. What would happen? They would get a hold over him. Okay, that would get a hold over him. That means then later he would not be able to control his bad habits. So his parents were trying to control, but he was not listening to them. Gentle words, strict warnings, a scolding now and then. His parents tried everything. Gentle words means they were talking nicely, lovingly. Then they used to give sometimes warnings, a scolding. They used to shout at him because they wanted their child to be very good and listen to him. But Anshuman did not listen. Then his parents tried everything short of beating him up. Now his parents tried everything that was gentle words. They were talking to him nicely. They were trying to make him understand. But they used to not beat him. Okay, they used to never beat Anshuman. And that they would never do. That means they used to never beat him. However unhappy they themselves were, they wanted to be loving and gentle as they tried to correct their son's ways. They were loving and gentle, Anshuman's parents, because they wanted that his son's habits should go away or he should stop that bad habit. So they were making him understand, but they used to never beat him. Okay, let's see the next paragraph. Then soon an opportunity presented itself. That means a chance came. A chance came for whom? For his parents to try to solve or try to change his bad habit. Okay, let's see what happens. Anshuman had gone to stay on his grandfather's farm with his parents. So once his parents and Anshuman, they decided to go to his grandfather's farm. Early one morning, his father took him for a walk around the farm. So his father and he went for a walk around the farm. Then he was describing the specialities of various plants and vines and bushes and trees to Anshuman. So what was Anshuman's father doing? Anshuman's father was showing Anshuman or describing the different plants. Specialities means different types of plants or various plants, vines. You all know what are vines? Vines are creepers. Then bushes, small plants, right? So Anshuman's father was describing Anshuman that what type of plants these are. Suddenly, he stopped and pointed out at a small seedling growing near a plant. So suddenly, Anshuman's father pointed out. He stopped and he pointed out to a small seedling. Small seedling means a young plant which is just started growing. So Anshuman's father stopped and pointed out to that small seedling growing near a plant. So what he says to Anshuman, Anshuman's father says, Anshuman, that's a weed. Can you pull it out? Now what's a weed? A weed is a wild plant growing where it is not wanted to grow. Why? We don't allow a wild plant to grow. Why? Because it might destroy the other plants. Okay, so that was a weed and that you should not allow to grow. So Anshuman's father told him, Anshuman, that's a weed. Can you pull it out? Then Anshuman said, Anshuman had no difficulty in pulling all of the small seedling out. He did not find any difficulty in pulling out that seedling because it was a small plant. So he pulled it out. His father said, good, said his father. And they continued with their walk. So they started moving further. After a while, they came up the same weed, but there it had grown slightly bigger. Now when they were walking further, again they seen that same weed, but here it had slowly grown a little bigger. And Anshuman's father told him to pull out this plant too. He told him to pull this weed as well. He told him to uproot the weed carefully, making sure that no trace of the root was left in the soil. So he told Anshuman, pull out that plant carefully. See to it that there are no any parts. Trace means no any parts of the roots left in the soil. Why? If any part of the root will be left in the soil, it will start growing again. So he told him, take out the plant with its roots carefully. Otherwise, the weed can grow again, he warned. So Anshuman's father told, remove it carefully, otherwise that plant will start growing again. Anshuman uprooted the plant carefully, twisting it and pulling it hard so that the whole of it came out. So what did Anshuman start doing? He started uprooting that plant. He started carefully uprooting the plant, twisting it. Twisting it means turning it and pulling it hard off the soil, okay. Then his father drew his attention to the same weed growing at some distance. Okay, then he showed him the same weed which was growing at some distance. There it had grown into a big plant with tiny flowers and dark fruit. Now here what happens? Anshuman's father shows him the third plant, the third weed. Now here what happens is that this plant had grown into a big plant and it had small flowers and dark fruits which you can see in the picture. Okay. So his father, Anshuman's father said, that could be quite dangerous. We must not leave it growing there, because he said that weed is grown a little bigger. We cannot leave it growing over there. Take it out, said Anshuman's father. So Anshuman's father told him, you have to take out this plant as well, because it has grown into a big plant and it will affect the other plants. So you have to remove this plant as well. Then what did Anshuman do? Anshuman held the plant in his hand and gave it a tug. Gave it a tug means he started pulling it off. The weed did not move at all. That means this plant was not at all moving. It had gone so deep into the soil that it was not moving. He pulled harder and harder, but to no avail. But to no avail means no success. It was not able to, you can see in the picture, he's trying very hard to pull off that plant. But the plant did not come out. Why it did not come out? Because it had gone very deep into the soil. The roots had caught the soil very tight. So he was not able to remove that plant. Then Anshuman says to his father, I can't get this out, exclaimed Anshuman. Exclaimed means he told to his father, I can't get this plant out. It has gone too deep into the soil. Its roots has gone very deep. So then his father brought some implements. Implements means tools to make the soil loose and dig around the plant so that they will be able to remove it. So his father bought some implements. They dug around the weed and with great effort pulled it out. So with the help of the tools, with great effort, they removed off that plant as well. Okay. Then his father tells him, when they were returning home after the hard work, they did a lot of work. They removed off 3 plants, right? So that was a very hard work for Anshuman. Anshuman's father mentioned, habits are like weeds. Now why does he say this? Habits are like weeds? Because he says this because the longer you allow them to grow, the harder it is to uproot them. That means Anshuman's father got one example to show it to his son, that the more you keep the bad habits with you, the more they will grow. Okay, so what you have to do is, when your habits are smaller, your bad habits are smaller, you just started growing the habits, what you should do, you should leave them off or stop doing that bad habits. So the same way Anshuman's father says, habits are like weeds. The longer you allow to grow, the harder it is to uproot them. If you allow your habits to keep on growing, you will not be able to stop your bad habit. So when you just started growing your habit, you should stop it. It is wise to get rid of them when it is easy to do so. That means when you just know that this thing what I am doing is wrong, you should stop it at that time. Get rid means to take action so as to be free, to just stop it. Okay. Anshuman then slowly realized the truth in his father's words. And Anshuman realized that whatever his father was correcting him, he was correcting him for his good. Throughout his life, he never forgot that early morning walk on the farm with his father. Then slowly Anshuman realized that whatever I was doing, that was a bad habit. I have to stop it now, because later on it will grow into a very big habit. So then Anshuman realized of that, and then he started listening to his parents, and he also did not forget that morning walk where he had to remove those weeds. Okay, so that's how Anshuman stopped his bad habits. So what do we learn from this story? That we should always obey our parents and always listen to them. Okay? So here we end with this story. We will learn the next lesson in the next video. Thank you for listening, children. Goodbye. Take care.